So what is the role of a contest chair? Among other things, the most important thing about a contest chair is to ensure that there is a smooth and well-organized contest. So it is to ensure that the contestants have the best setup for them to deliver their best capability. So this means that when you're choosing the venue, when you're choosing how the contest is going to run, make sure that it is so smooth that even the contestants themselves will feel secure and ready to take on the challenge of giving their speeches. SA, please mute for us so that you can be able to hear properly. Thank you. All right. So the other thing that a contest chair does is to work hand in hand with SAA. Could you help us with the sound there? Thank you. So the other thing that the contest chair does is to work with the chief judge to ensure that there is fairness across the board for each and every contestant. And we'll dig a little bit deeper into this so that we can see how the contest chair does this. So before the contest chair picks the date and the time when the contest is going to take place. You also organize the venues. So if this is going to be a physical contest, then you look for a venue where that contest is going to take place. Then you communicate the dates and the timings with the contestants and the chief judges so that they are aware when and where it will take place. There's also the arranging of services that will be needed. So if you are not within a club setup, then you're going maybe to a hotel, you need to be able to organize what you need. If you need props, if you need microphones, if you need a podium where the speakers are going to speak, this is the role of the contest chair to ensure that everything will be prepared and ready for the contestants. And finally, the contest chair also plans the agenda of how the contest will run. So for example, if you're having two contests, the contest chair determines which contest will happen when. Is it the international that will start first and then the evaluation, or will you start with the evaluation, then the international? So this is the role of the contest chair. The contest chair also confirms the eligibility of the contestants by having them send in their speaker certificate of eligibility and originality. Why is this important? Remember, in the beginning, we talked about ensuring that there is fairness. You need to be able to make sure that the contestants understand what the rules and the standards are expected of them during the contest. One of those rules is that the speech has to be original. It has to be from them and not copied from somewhere else. And therefore, this form is very important for the contest chair to collect so as to ensure that the contestants have understood that rule. Preparation of materials is also needed. For example, the certificates that you will be handing out, both for the participation of the contestant and the winners, you need to prepare for that. Also the written material, for example, in the evaluation contest, the contestants walk out and they fill in on an evaluation sheet. These sheets are prepared for by the contest chair so that the contestants don't start looking around for a piece of paper in the middle of the contest. You also need to check with the contestants if they require any props for their speeches and organize for them to be there at the venue. So a contestant may want to have cards that they lift up. They may want to have something that they want to carry into the room as part of their speech. You as a contest chair need to be aware of this so that you can help the contestant prepare and do their best during their speech. And finally, before the contest, you meet with the contestants and you give them a briefing so that they are prepared for the contest. Okay, now let's go to the briefing for the contestants. Communicating with the contestants on the time and date is very important. During an online contest, Sometimes these dates are prior to the contest, and that is what we probably call a dry run. But you need to communicate to the contestants and let them know that this is when the dry run will be, ahead of time, not 1 or 2 days, but with the time for the contestants to be able to plan. In a physical contest, the briefings usually happen 30 minutes before the contest begins. If, however, the contestant is not able to reach that venue at that time, then there are rules that cover that, but I will come to that in a short while. The next thing that you do during the briefing is to show them the speaking area. So in a contest where it is physical, you show them where the podium is. If there's a microphone, this is where the microphone is. If there is need for the props, you'll tell them this is where you will find your prop and this is where you can pick it up from before your speech. This enables a contestant to feel very safe and secure because then they already know what to expect before they start their speech, rather than going on stage and then they start looking for their props and wondering where they were put. Yeah, so this helps our contestants do their very best. For an online contestant, you also help them with their audio and their light check. And this is where the dry run comes in. It is commendable to have a tech expert, somebody who is good at internet and those kind of things, to assist your contestants, checking on their audio so that they're audible, checking on their light and background, and ensuring that they are visible from the elbows up, which is the TMI, Toastmasters International rule. So contest chair, this is your responsibility to make sure that all these things are checked, and also advising them in terms of data to make sure that they have enough data to be able to attend the contest, to let them know what to do in case they have data problems. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Remember, for any questions, I shall get to the Q&A. So this is another very important part of the briefing, having the contestants picking their speaking order. Again, the aim of the contest chair is to ensure that there is fairness across the board. One of the ways of ensuring that there is fairness is having the contestants pick their numbers randomly. In a physical contest, you can tear up pieces of paper, write numbers on them, and then have the contestants pick from your hand or a place where they pick from, or a container, and then they will have randomly selected their speaking slot. For online, there are very many creative ways of doing this. One of them is using a wheel, a number wheel, and asking them to spin it. It could be a little bit difficult because you're online. An example of something that we were using last year was to have a list of colors or a list of fruits, or it could be any number of things that you just list and you put numbers on them. Then you ask the contestants to pick a fruit or a color, and that color will match the number that they will get. So be creative, but at the end of the day, make sure that it is random so as to ensure fairness. Okay. Now let me come back to the part where I was talking about a contestant not making it on time for the briefing. And I'm sure this might sound odd, but it does happen because a contestant could be caught in jam, something could have happened that now they're running late. So what happens when a contestant is running late? According to the Toastmasters rules, the contestants can choose to waive to attend their briefing and assign another member to attend the briefing for them. So they can call a friend of theirs of Toastmasters and say, could you please attend the briefing and pick a number for me? But having agreed to this, it means that the contestant will comply and will be okay with the number that is picked for them, which means that if that member picks for you number 1, then you will be contestant number 1. Okay? The contest chair then allows for that contestant to be there before their number is called. So it means that if you're running late for your contest, you need to make sure that you are there before your number is called. Okay? Great. So let's move on to the next slide. Confirmation of eligibility on originality rules with each contestant. So before the briefing, you need to go through the rules and let each and every contestant know them and have them comply to them and say, yes, I have understood. You also let them know about the timing of the speech. And this can be very confusing, I can tell you, because sometimes you confuse evaluation and table topics. You forget that table topics is 1 to 2 minutes, evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, and you go on the podium and you're thinking that it is 2 to 3 minutes and you're all confused. So contest chair, make sure before the contest starts, you need to confirm the timing and let the contestants know this is your timing for this particular speech, this particular contest. Also help them know and identify where the timer will be seated, if it is a physical contest, or where the screen will be shared, if it is a Zoom contest, and ensure that they can see the timers. Because if they cannot see the timers, then they're not able to pace themselves properly. So ensure that the timer is properly seen by the contestant. Also explain how the contests will run. There are quite a number of new contestants who will be coming in D114 in the coming contest season. So let us not assume that they have attended a contest before. The contest chair, it is your responsibility to go through the agenda and let them know how this contest runs. For example, with table topics, you let them know that all the contestants leave the room, and then you have the first contestants coming into the room to give their speech, followed by the second, and so on and so forth. The same as evaluation contest, all the contestants leave the room and then come in one at a time. So contest chair, it is your responsibility to make sure that the contestants understand how the contest runs so they are not caught by surprise. Also remember to tell them in evaluation contests the 5-minute rule or the 5-minute break that they get to write down their notes. In a physical meeting, sometimes this is done inside the room. The contestants sit inside the room and are given 5 minutes to fill in their evaluation notes after the speech. Other contestants ask the contestants to leave the room and go outside and write their notes. So all this needs to be properly organized and communicated to the contestants so that they know what to expect. Confirming that you have all the eligibility forms and also the profile for the contest. I have noted that sometimes the profile is missed out, and the profile is very important because this is what you actually use when you're interviewing the contestants later on. So contest chairs, make sure that you have your eligibility form and have it in hand, because this is where you're going to get the speech title. Let's make sure that we don't start asking the contestant in the middle of the contest, what is your speech title? So where do you find the speech title? On the eligibility form that the contestant has filled. Okay. So during the contest chair opens the contests and gives a brief explanation of the rules of the contests, also to the audience. The contest chair also sets down the rules to be followed by the audience. For example, no movement in or out of the room while the contestant is speaking. This can also apply to online contests where you ask the SAA not to allow anybody into the room during the contestant's speech. The CC also calls contestants to follow their picked number. Okay, SAA, help me there. Right. So during the contest chair calls the contestant using their title, the name of the contestant, the title of the speech, then the name. For example, if Joy Talemwa is giving a speech, I will say Joy Talemwa. And then the title of the speech, and then the title of the speech, and then Joy Talemwa. Ensure that there are no other additions given when introducing the contestant. Remember that this role is not a TMOD. It is a formal role. The contest chair is a formal role. The TMOD role can be informal. You can have all the creativity and the theatrics and that. But for a contest, it is very formal. And therefore, all that it takes is to introduce and make sure that each and every contestant receives the same introduction. If you start to introduce and say that this person is from this club and they hold this office and they do this in Toastmasters, it already creates a biases. And remember, our role is to make sure that there is fairness across the board. So do not add anything such as club name, or if they hold an office, that should not come when you're introducing them during a contest. Once a contestant completes their speech, the contest chair asks for 1 minute of silence for the judge to fill in their ballots. After the contest chair shares, I think I'm missing some slides here. Okay. There's a slide that is missing, but allow me to just fill it in. So at the end, after the last contestant speaks, then we have a 2-minute silence for those who are filling in, the judges who are filling in their ballots. This is when they shall finish filling in their ballots. The chief judge and the ballot counters then go off to another room. If it is online, they go to a breakout room. If it is physical, then they walk out of the room, maybe perhaps, and go and sit and tally the ballots together. During this time, the contest chair interviews the contestants. So remember, I spoke about the profile or the bio that you get from the contestants. This is where it comes into play. So from the bio, you get a lot of information about the contestant, maybe some of their likes, their dislikes, their hobbies, their careers, what they do. As a contest chair, this is where you can get information to interview your contestant. There are times when we have had the same kind of questions in every contest, and sometimes people get tired of the same. How did you prepare for your speech? What did it take? When you ask the same question over and over, sometimes it can become a little bit redundant. So using your profile and the data that you get from the profile of the contestant, you can get some very juicy questions from that profile. Once you have finished interviewing the contestants, then you give them the certificate of appreciation, which you will have prepared way before. After this, you then ask the chief judge whether they have completed their tallying of the votes. If they haven't completed them, and this is something that we would like to recommend, have an activity as a plan B as a contest chair. Have an activity as a plan B such that if the chief judge says we need a bit more time, this is a good time to either promote Toastmasters, talk about your club, or you can do an activity like have a brief table topic session or a round robin or something to keep the audience entertained as you give the chief judge time to complete their ballot counting. After that, you then call on the chief judge and ask them if they are ready. The chief judge will then hand you the certificates to let you know that these are the results that we have gotten. Confirm with the chief judge and ask them if there were any disqualifications. If there were no disqualifications, then you then move on to announce the results, starting with the second runner-up and then to the first runner-up and finally to the winner of the contest. Once this is done, you have now completed your role as a contest chair. And all that is left or remaining is for you to hand over the results that you will get from the chief judge on to the chief judge of the next level of the contest. So with that, I would like to open up the floor for any questions that anyone might have about being a chief judge. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any question. Joy, you can check the chat for me in case there's a question there.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. Can you be a contest chair and participate in a contest in another area or in the same area?
Being a contest chair in the same, you mean the same category?
Sorry, yes, same category.
That might be a challenge. I'm not sure if with contest chair, maybe I just check back with Connie, because contest chair technically does not judge. However, it usually states that you cannot take part in a contest in the same level if you have a role in that particular field. So I doubt that. But let me hand over to the TLI, Connie.
Yes, Christine, I have not come across a rule that strictly forbids it, but I mean, you really can't hold the same role in the same contest on the same day at the same time. It's simply not possible.
He meant in another contest, but in the same category. Let's say like you're a contest chair for evaluation at a club, and then maybe you become a contestant at a different club.
In the same category, like evaluation. Yes, absolutely. This is allowed. This is allowed.
So that one is allowed.
These
so
are
you
not
can
connected.
be the contest chair. The two are not connected. Okay.
No.
We have a hand up from Ida. Ida, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions. The first one is regarding the physical contest. You said that if the contestant is late, he can assign someone to see who is going to roll up the speaking order. So in that scenario, you said that the contestant have to be there before his number is called upon. What if he does not show up at that moment? Will he be able to get the chance to present himself on the last, or would he be disqualified? And my second question is regarding the online contest. You know, this online thing depends on the internet connections. What if the contestant, while he's presenting his speech, there is some kind of connection problem? So will he get a second chance to present his speech? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ida. Those are very good questions. Let me start with the first one. So in order to make sure that there is fairness across the board, the Toastmasters rules allows you to have somebody step in for you to attend the briefing, maybe if you're late. But if that person picks a certain number, then you need to have arrived at the contest place and be able to deliver your speech according to that number that has been picked. Because remember, this person is stepping in as a proxy. It's like you being there, which means that if your number is called and you're still not there, then I believe that means that now you're disqualified after that point. Is that okay? Just to check with the TLI, that's confirmed?
That's confirmed.
Okay, so now let me go to the second one, at the point of internet connection. So because the internet and Zoom platform is very new, Toastmasters leaves it more to the chief judge and basically the judges to agree on what format to use at the point when internet is disrupted. So I won't jump into that because I would like the chief judge to cover that, the person who is doing the training for the chief judge to cover that, and I believe that she'll give you more information in that area. Is that okay, Ida?
Yes, that's okay. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Christine, there's a question in the chat. Is there a criteria for one to be a contest chair? perhaps just show the slide again that shows the criteria.
Okay, so for contest chair, I don't think there's really a criteria for a contest chair. It just shows what the role of the contest chair is. So anyone can be a contest chair. It just that they need to be able to follow in the rules of the contest chair. TLI, is that confirmed?
Confirmed. I haven't come across any criteria. I think they are similar to being a Toastmaster of the day, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so because of time, allow me to wind up there and hand over back to our host, Toastmaster Joy. Please take over the podium.